All right, guys, special treat today. We got Eli Knight still with us, and he was here shooting a seminar, so I wanted him to show a couple of the techniques that he's going to be showing in the seminar today. So we've got 3 arm locks from the crucifix position. All right,
so the crucifix, it's such a great position. It doesn't get as much love as it should probably because it doesn't really score you points in competition, which I would argue that it should, but that's a whole different story. So lots of different ways we can get into it. Kind of a standard way, a lot of time that we can look to get into it is if I get him turtled and I'm riding off at this kind of back quadrant like this, a lot of times guys will bring their arms in tight so as not to expose spaces back here. So that's the first challenge, is getting that arm, the arm that I need to entangle, exposed. So let's turn this way a little bit here. So if I want to make some space here, I'm going to take my knee and I'm going to put it in the pocket that currently exists. And then I'm going to slide down his quad, and as I do that, it protrudes his arm a little bit there. Now the next thing I want to think about is I want to try to take my heel and touch my knee with my heel that way. That tells me that I'm wrapped around that arm. Now I don't want to hang out here because I'm a little off balance, but I want to scrape this arm back, and as I scrape it open, I let this foot slide underneath, and I'm going to hook that way. So now I've essentially got this arm hooked. He's pretty trapped inside like this, but I need to really get him into that crucifix position to have a really more stable platform to be able to finish from. So now I'm gonna reach through and I want to tuck this arm. Here's where people make a mistake a lot of the time, is that they start to try to roll too early, and he's got a kickstand here. So I'm like, I'm just gonna spin my wheels. I've got to tuck this elbow inside. Now his shoulder's closer to the floor. Now I'm gonna turn my head the direction of his head. I'm gonna roll over that shoulder, and then we're gonna wind up in this position here, right? So now I wanna make sure there's some specifics about how the angle that I get here to be able to really effectively control so he doesn't tabletop me too much or anything like that, but we'll deal with all those things a different time. For right now, I wanna talk about the initial attacks I can get on this arm. So right here, a lot of times, especially in the gi, he's really worried about me attacking, and he can't do a great job defending the choke with this arm. So I want to keep him occupied with this arm defending the choke. And while he's doing that, I'm going to come up and I'm just going to cross my ankles around his wrist. And I don't have to figure 4, I'm just crossing my ankles, and I'm going to push my heels to the floor like this. And as I do, it's going to get tight, and eventually it's going to reach that kind of hyperextension area there, and he's going to tap. Now, he can have 2 different reactions oftentimes, and 2 of those reactions, he can go branch up or branch down. He goes branch up like this here. So now, when he's branch up here like this, I can catch it this way here. So let's go back. If I had my ankles crossed already and he goes branch up, then what I want to try to do is I want to take this hand out, which he doesn't mind because now I'm not choking him. So I'm going to grab his wrist and I want to cross here. So I'm pinching his wrist and the bend between my foot and my calf right here. That's going to give me a lot of leverage. His shoulders really wound up tight right here. So now if I start to take my 2 knees from this angle to that angle, he's going to feel that pressure, and then I'm going to be looking to give him a shoulder lock, hopefully, right? So that's one response he can have. He can go straight, let me break his arm straight. He can muscle up, let me get the Americana, or he can go branch down. Now this one is a little tricky because if I just go here, I don't have quite the leverage or the movement to be able to accomplish it just by wrapping. So I use a little bit of an assist with this foot. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to dig my toes underneath. So you see how my toes come out by his bicep while still keeping his forearm clamped with my leg. What this does is it adds a little bit more torque. So now his shoulder's a little tighter. So now I'm going to start to take my knee toward his hips, and then that adds a lot more pressure like that. So I like to think about things kind of in 3s, and I like to think about them based on reaction. So like he gets there. Nobody likes their arm feeling that completely extended whenever there's leverage like that. There's a good fulcrum, there's a lot of pressure on the end. So he's either gonna muscle up or he's gonna muscle down. He muscles up, we got Americana. We just gotta be particular kind of about how we get our leg into position to finish it. And then branch down, which can be tricky to finish unless you use that foot assist like I showed. That to me was like the missing piece. Whenever I started like using that, now I started getting the leverage that I need, the torque. Even as guys are flexible in the shoulders, it still gets the job done. So those are a few that we're looking at in the seminar that we're working on this week. And then there's like 50 other things that I'm gonna run out of time for teaching, but there's just so much that can happen from crucifix. And I wanna know too, like I always like to do this whenever I'm showing anything like that, because I know there's details and there's like techniques and stuff that I'm gonna find later on from the crucifix that just are going to be mind-blowing to me. I find one like every week whenever I'm doing research for this kind of stuff. I just learned one like last week from my friend Maliki Friedman. And so what are you using the Crucifix for if you're using it? And if you're not using it, why aren't you? You need to implement that into your game, because when you get a dangerous Crucifix, now you're not just like a one-trick pony for getting to the back. Now when the guy turtles, he doesn't have to worry about you just throwing the hooks in or dragging him or whatever. Now he's got to worry about that Crucifix, and that makes you a lot more dangerous. So anyway, let me know about it, guys. Michael, I appreciate you having me here, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah. Now I love techniques that often, you know, have something that it's like one thing, and if they react this way, you go here, and another one react this way, you go here. It strings things along. I love being able to string things along, and you know, having 3 steps in an attack is a perfect way to get a submission. So you guys, hey, thanks for watching the video today. Make sure you like and subscribe. Appreciate you, Eli, being here today.
Absolutely.
And you guys just comment down below and let us know what you think.